Hey, this is Mike Cazayoux, and you're listening to the Brute Strength Podcast. This show is a special episode that I do each month with my wife, Adee Cazayoux, owner of Working Against Gravity. Adee and her company have worked with over 15,000 people, helping them transform their lives by dialing in their nutrition. We started this special show because the first few podcasts that I did with Adee were some of the most popular I'd ever done, and nutrition in general is probably the most popular topic that we discuss on the show. So each month we talk about things like how to be consistent on your diet, how to be more accurate. We talk about goal setting, nutrient timing, and so much more. Enjoy the show. Hey, this is Mike Cazayoux, and you're listening to the Brute Strength Podcast. I'm back with my wife, Adee Cazayoux, owner of Working Against Gravity. Every month we do a special episode just on nutrition. Her company has worked with over 15,000 clients, and they've helped so many people of so many different walks of life transform their lives by dialing in their nutrition. So this is the monthly show that we do, and I hope you enjoy the show. Adee, thanks for joining me again.
Always.
So this is what I want to talk about today. You always use the quote, can you stop doing that? You always use the quote, the good program you follow is better than the perfect program you don't. And one of the main things that you guys teach is that consistency in a diet is the most important thing. If you're not following the diet, then it doesn't matter how good the diet is, it's not going to work.
Right.
So you wrote down 10 things, 10 of the biggest things that people can do to be more consistent on their diet. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, so I think the concept was about finding a lot of different ways to be consistent. So I don't know if these are the 10 best, but these are the
just hyping it up.
Yeah, these are 10 ways that you can be consistent with your nutrition that have not necessarily anything to do with tracking your macros. Some of them will, but it just is another way to get the point across for those that don't know exactly what Working Against Gravity does, and they just look at us from the outside and they're like, they just track their macros. Like their coaches are just going to give them carbs, fats, and proteins, and that's it. It's like totally not what we do. We do so much more than just tracking your carbs, fats, and proteins. For some clients, we don't even track fat, carbs, and proteins. Our main goal is really just to get our clients to be consistent and compliant in something so that you can get that confidence in yourself that you're capable of something. Everyone loves being consistent in something because consistency always leads to progress, and it's such a good feeling to be like, I've stuck to something, whether it's you stop eating sugar, you stop drinking alcohol, or you go to the gym 5 times a week. Like that feeling of being disciplined is just a great feeling in general, is it not?
I think you feel that you have integrity with yourself, right? You feel that you can trust yourself. You told yourself, I'm going to do this diet. Now I'm sticking to it. I can trust myself.
100%. And then you just need one thing or 2 things, and that's going to build upon itself to give you more and more trust with yourself, so you can add on more, or you can tweak what it is that you're being consistent with. So maybe the first habit or the first thing that you're trying to be consistent with is not like the ideal thing, and it's not the ultimate goal, but it's going to give you some confidence in yourself that you're capable, so that eventually you can keep tweaking that and building on it to get to where it is that you want to be.
Right. But
just starting somewhere is better than being defeated and not starting at all.
Right. Yeah. I use this analogy in like my morning routine in general. Like I always have to have at least one thing that I make sure I do every single week, and that acts as an anchor for every other thing, right? So as long as I work out for 10 minutes every single day, I'm so much more likely to do all of the other things that I want to accomplish in my morning routine.
Yeah, 100. It's exactly how I feel about making the bed in the morning. Like I've said this a bunch of times on a bunch of different podcasts, but making the bed every single morning starts my day where I actually feel like I'm capable. I know it's like such a small thing, but I'm not the neatest person in the world. So making my bed every single morning has been a way for me to start the day feeling like I have integrity with myself. I said I was going to make the bed every single day, and this is regardless of whether I'm in a hotel or an Airbnb or I'm at our house. Like making the bed neatly every single day has helped me build that confidence in myself to do other things in my life really well. So we can dive right into those 10 things. So there's 10 ways that you can find some level of consistency in your nutrition. And the first one is just using any type of tracking app whatsoever. So there's different apps like MyFitnessPal, My Macros Plus. You don't let's just go basic as possible. Doesn't necessarily have to be tracking in terms of weighing and measuring your food, but just inputting what you're eating into some type of tracking app. And this could also be like a food journal. So writing it down on paper, putting it in the notes section of your phone. Having to write out what it is that you eat is going to automatically make you more aware of the food that you're eating, and it's going to make you more accountable, as well as make it the goal is to create a little bit of time between I'm hungry and what am I going to eat. If you lengthen the gap of that time, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for you to make a choice that doesn't align with your goals, because you're going to have some time to actually think about it instead of just reacting. It's kind of like self-awareness, like becoming more aware of what that choice is going to be, and increasing that gap by having to log it somewhere before you eat it is a huge way to just be consistent.
Right. The quote that comes to mind is something that you taught me. The extent to which you are unconscious of
your habits is
the extent to which it persists. So basically by tracking, by putting it in your phone, writing it down, you're becoming more conscious or aware of this thing, and problems just start to dissipate the more conscious we become of them.
Right. So just the mere fact of being conscious of a habit, if you don't even put any concrete strategies, implementations to change that habit, just the fact that you're aware of it, it will organically begin to change itself, because you're going to notice it coming up more and more. So I make this choice. I didn't realize I was making this choice so frequently. Right. Next time you make this choice, you're like, oh, there it is again. And that's in your awareness, so it gives you the opportunity to act on it versus being completely unaware. There's no way for you to change it.
Number two
is eating vegetables or protein in every meal. You can use one or the other. So just eating veggies in every meal, or just having protein in every meal. So it's consistent across the board. People don't eat enough vegetables, and people don't necessarily eat enough protein. So just getting more of that into your diet every single day.
For me, it would be very helpful to implement the veggie one. Like I've never had a problem getting protein in every single meal, but definitely getting veggies in every meal would help for two reasons. One, I'm getting to this place where I really value micronutrients much more than I ever have, and so I would love to make sure I'm getting a variety every day. But then two, it just helps keep me full. I know that a high volume of vegetables helps keep me full, and that I usually battle a lot of hunger.
Right. So, and I think it could even give you some inspiration to create different meals and things that are tastier, more delicious. But anybody who's not eating veggies in every meal, this is definitely a cool challenge to take on. And just to reiterate, the whole point of this conversation is that you can take each one of these things to be consistent with on their own. So forget about, now we're not even talking about tracking in any type of way. We're talking about just eating veggies in every meal, or just having protein in every meal. That's one thing you can be consistent with to increase your awareness of your nutrition, as well as build some confidence that you're capable of changing your habits.
It's like a consistency anchor.
Yeah.
One thing that I would not suggest you experiment with is the bagged pickled beets. I got some pickled beets the other day, and they were awful.
I also, in terms of veggies of every meal, I would suggest not having the same veggie in every meal. I would vary those veggies. There is some negative consequences that can come from having, way too much broccoli. If you're having broccoli in every single meal and you're doing that 3 times a day, 7 days a week, there are some bad things that can happen from that. So I would definitely vary your veggies.
Right, go French fries, mashed potatoes.
No.
Okay, what's number 3?
Number 3 is going to be tracking only one of the macronutrients. So whether, you think you eat too many carbohydrates, track your carbohydrates to make sure that you're staying within the ranges that you're you deem for yourself are appropriate, or whatever the goal is for yourself. If you don't think you're eating enough protein, track only your protein. And this is tracking precisely. So could be weighing and measuring, would be putting it into some type of tracking app. It's not just like, oh, I ate bread this morning, so I'm not going to eat bread at lunch. It's like actually tracking just one of the 3 macronutrients. Number 4 would be eating carbohydrates only when this is just like complex carbohydrates or starchier vegetables or things that are higher in carbohydrates pre and post workout. So it doesn't necessarily include really, really low carbohydrate vegetables.
So you can have green leafy vegetables all day long, but only eat your higher glycemic and your higher glycemic load stuff before and after workouts.
Right. So just limit it into that window. It's just because it's going to help you with your performance in the gym. It's going to help you with your recovery. And it's going to make it less likely that you're going to go to items like, ice cream and donuts and junk food outside of that window, because you're not going to want to feel, those things aren't necessarily going to make you feel awesome in your workout. And if you really care about your performance in the gym, this is going to help with that. It's going to help with the recovery. And it doesn't give you like that late night opportunity to have things that are not necessarily healthy.
Yeah, especially like how it creates that little window of when you're going to consume carbohydrates.
Right. And then it also
sets you up for success.
For sure. And it also takes away the opportunity to have those carbohydrates on a day that you're not working out. So it kind of gives you like the ability to earn those calories, I guess.
Number 5.
Which I don't love the idea of earning calories in general. So don't like latch onto that.
Don't tell anyone.
Only 1 treat for the day. This is like one of those non-negotiable rules. Michael talks about non-negotiables all the time. Like you've decided on a rule for yourself, so you can't really, it makes the decision making easier because you've already made the decision. So making a decision for yourself to only have a treat 1 time a day, and that treat can be whatever it is that, is your vice, and choosing the serving size beforehand. So I'm only going to have 1 serving of ice cream after dinner, and that's the only treat I'm going to have. The rest of the day I'm going to have high micronutrients, dense in micronutrient food items, and I'm going to just save it for that 1 time of the day, and that's it. Stay consistent with that the entire week.
Nice. I love the serving size.
Because you have to choose the serving size. Yeah, because if you're like, oh, I'm only going to have 1 treat, I'm going to have the entire pint of Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, that is literally the downfall of my nutrition is not determining the serving size before.
And if you choose it before, you're going to feel guilty about switching it afterwards. You're like, oh, I already, like, maybe you'll switch it afterwards. Like, maybe everyone, has their weak moments, and they're going to go back on some rules that they set for themselves, and you should be compassionate with yourself if you do go back on it. But it's gonna create that gap, the gap of like I'm hungry for more, and the decision to actually go and get that, it's gonna create a larger gap of like, well, I made the decision to only have this much. Am I gonna break that decision that I made for myself?
Right. And when you stick to that, you feel accomplished, and there's a lack of guilt, right? Because you already predetermined that this is okay. This is the structure I'm giving myself. And so it falls within those guidelines.
For sure. It definitely removes that guilt that you're talking about.
Number 6.
Similar to the only 1 treat for the day, you could do only a treat on a day that you train. So a day that you work out. It's from my experience, it's less likely that you're going to, for some people it's more likely, but less likely that you're going to completely overindulge on a day that you work out. Like, you're already feeling good about yourself, you're already going to the gym, you're seeing progress, and you don't want to ruin that progress. So limiting it to those days, and it's also a day that you've probably expended more calories. So limiting those higher caloric food items to a day that you've expended more calories.
Number 7.
The number 7 is going to be if you work away from home, or even I changed my mind. Even if you work from home, working from home actually makes it difficult to, you could easily just go and snack all day, but having like a predetermined lunch for the day, like a pre-packed lunch for the day, regardless of whether you work at home, you don't work at home, you're going to a coffee shop, whatever it is, you have a predetermined lunch for the day. So you're not making decisions last minute when you're hungry, and you already know what it is that you're going to be eating, and you like feel, accomplished in like preparing for yourself, taking care of yourself. Like pre-making a meal for yourself is just another way to feel good about taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. And it prevents like willpower being an issue, right? You know, like one of my biggest problems being consistent is that I'll get to the end of the day and I'll work until say 6 p.m. or even 7:30. Then I think about dinner. By that time, I'm already really hungry, but then I have to go spend a bunch of time cooking. And that's when I make poor decisions. If I plan out what I'm going to eat for dinner in advance, and I know exactly what I'm going to eat, how much, etc., I make much better decisions because the decision is already made.
Exactly. So this is just another way to make that decision. It doesn't have to be lunch. Doesn't have to be it. It could be dinner, but I think most people are working during the day. So dinner is probably an easier thing to not have pre-programmed, and you're usually eating dinner with other people.
Right.
Lunch is something that is often ate like in a small group, but it's okay to not be eating the same things. It just limits the convenience factor of like picking something up on the way to work, or picking something up that's close to work, or eating whatever work provided for you. And then, I work from home, and I can easily push through hunger for so long that I get to a point where I'm just like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then I just make a poor decision.
Right.
So if I pre-planned lunch and I just go into the kitchen and already have that ready for me, it makes it easier for me to be consistent with other things.
Right. Number 8.
Number 8 is practicing saying no when unexpected food is offered to you. So there's so many scenarios in life when, oh my God, we're ordering pizza, do you want some? Or it's my birthday, I brought a cake to work, do you want some? And it's never like, it's rarely like, I just grew these cucumbers in my backyard. Do you want one?
It depends on who you're hanging out with.
Exactly. It's rarely. That's rare. It's like, it might happen, but it's definitely more often the cupcakes and the cookies and my niece's birthday was this weekend. We have some leftover this.
Yeah, people aren't like as stoked or proud to present you with the kale they grew outside.
Right. And they generally want to keep that kale for themselves. Unless it's like going bad soon, they're not going to be like as freely giving that up, whereas most people want to get the cookies out of their house, so they're bringing it to work to give to you guys. So practicing the discomfort in saying, politely, no thank you, like if you have to say I'm super full, or say something like I'm not eating sugar, like it doesn't even necessarily have to be true, but to like break the ice of, it's super uncomfortable saying no to something when, sometimes when you say no, it makes that person feel uncomfortable, and then you feel guilty for them feeling uncomfortable, even though it has nothing to do with you. Like, it's them feeling uncomfortable and they're responsible for their own feelings, but you just still feel guilty and you want to make them feel good, and eating the cookie is going to make them feel good, but
so you do it. You really do it for them.
Yeah.
That's why I always do it.
Sometimes you are.
No,
but
I hear you. I totally hear you.
It's just you got to take care of yourself first. So practicing saying no in those situations, or like you should just like you're hanging out at a friend's house, you have no intentions of staying for dinner, and they're like, I'm making this, like come on, like stay for dinner, like I worked really hard on making this. Practicing the ability to say no.
I have a couple thoughts on this. One, I am so bad at this. Like, I will be killing my diet, like so consistent, and then someone offers me something really tasty, and for some reason I think, oh my God, this is so novel. I'll never have the opportunity to do this again.
Cinderella syndrome.
Right? And so I have caved a lot in my nutrition history. Second, this is a muscle that can be built just like anything else. In the book The Champion's Mind, they call this a fight through. And every time we win a fight through, like a moment where we can choose between moving towards our goal or away from our goal, every time we win a fight through, we become stronger. So it's a muscle that every time you say no, the next one will become easier. Just a little mental toughness trick.
Yeah, totally. And I think it will probably, I think all of these things will help you be more productive in other areas of your life. I think being consistent in anything in life is going to help you be more productive in other areas of your life. But this one in particular, I think a lot of people struggle with saying no to a lot of things. So just saying no to when randomly food is offered towards you is a great way to start learning how to say no. Number 9 is just to drink more water throughout the day. Carry a water bottle with you, have it full of water, make it so that at every single meal, like create little rules around hydration. So I cannot get a second serving of food or I cannot eat more than what's on my plate until I've finished 2 full glasses of water.
It's actually really helpful.
Rules like that. So you have to have 2 full glasses of water with every meal. You have to finish 3 water bottles full throughout the day. Like whatever it is, I guarantee like 95% of the people listening right now could up their hydration game without a doubt, for sure.
I haven't done this one in a long time, but when I was training really hard, I would just set a timer for every hour and drink a set amount of ounces per hour. It was actually really helpful.
For sure.
Then I don't have to worry about forgetting about it.
It makes you feel so much better. You're going to perform better in the gym. You're going to eat less because you're going to like, it's like the feeling of having something in your mouth and swallowing it, and obviously that water being in your stomach or in your bladder anyways is going to help with some feelings of satiation. It's just overall going to help your overall health. Number 9 is the next one.
I don't know. Just go to the next one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
10.
9, 10. Number 10. So I have one. The 10. I'm going to switch it. I have a better one.
That's fine.
So I'm going to switch to it. I'm going to switch to a better one. I think that something you can be consistent with is just being accountable to somebody about your nutrition and your fitness. And that doesn't have to be in any formal capacity. So an example would be at Working Against Gravity. If you are not ready to track all of your macros, so I have a client, a great example is Holly Mangold. Holly Mangold's a super heavy weightlifter. She was an Olympian at the London Olympics for USA. Most people notoriously know her as being on The Biggest Loser, and she's weighing over 400 pounds. So coming into Working Against Gravity, is it okay for me to just be like, hey, let's weigh and measure every single thing you eat. Let's, like dive in all the way, because she has a lot of bad habits built up. And I just want to build some confidence and some self-efficacy out the gate. So even if it's just having her check in with me and talk about what the last week was like in terms of her food choices and reflect on a couple questions, like, what did you think about when you were eating? Did you ever eat out of emotion? Were you ever stressed? Did you find that you were making food choices? What things could you do better with those food choices? Were you eating enough vegetables? Like, just having a conversation about food and having a place each week that is designated for that, like for that conversation, is again going to increase that awareness around your food. And it's also going to make it, you don't want to come to that conversation without anything positive to talk about.
Right.
It's a little bit of like, it's a little bit humiliating or like shameful to like go to that conversation and be like, I binged every single day this week, or I didn't eat anything at all this week, or whatever it is. You want to come to that conversation with some positive progress. So that's what we do. If someone's not ready to necessarily track their macros, let's just talk about it. I do this with Ziona Hansen from Barbells for Boobs as well. Like, we just really have a conversation each week about her fitness and her nutrition, and there's not a lot of changing of macros going on, but it's helps you definitely be consistent with lots of things.
An accountability buddy.
Yeah. But don't just be like an accountability buddy, like you're going to text that person every single day and like just some days you don't. Like, make like a time that is designated for this.
Yeah, I like the formal check-in process. It makes it harder to avoid, right? Harder to say fuck it to.
And that other person's waiting on you. They're like waiting for you to send your check-in, and if you don't, they're like, what's up?
Right.
Where you at?
Right.
Like, we were supposed to be talking about this, or like, especially if it's somebody that you might see in person and like you have this designated time and then you skip the time and you're like, you see them and there's this like awkward tension of like, I know they know that I missed the time, that kind of thing. I think that's a really awesome thing to do with anything.
Yeah, these were phenomenal. Thank you. Where can people find out more about Working Against Gravity, and what do you want them to know about that you have going on right now?
So people can find more about Working Against Gravity at workingagainstgravity.com. You can find us on any social media channels at Working Against Gravity. And what we got going on right now is we are open registration. We are constantly bringing on more coaches to meet with the demand that we have and we've had for so long. And so
the reason that's significant is because for the last 2.5 years, they've been on a waiting list the entire time. And so now registration is open.
Yeah, our waiting list has been as much as 3,200 people waiting for using the program. So we're really excited to be open. We've worked so hard to get to the point where we can have open registration. So we're ready to help a lot of people change their lives. And we've done this consistently, and we're also getting better and better every single day. And yeah.
And how about the donations?
Oh, we're also, I believe it's October 22nd. If you go to my Facebook page, if you go to the Instagram on Working Against Gravity, we're going to be doing, taking donations. We're going to match up to $10,000 worth of donations for all the hurricanes that are going on right now. Whether it's Jose that's coming up, it's Irma, it's Harvey that just passed, or Irma that's passing right now. We're going to be taking donations to help with that relief, as well as on October 22nd, we're going to be taking a group of individuals to Houston, because Michael and I are from Austin, so it's just a 2-hour drive for us, 2.5-hour drive for us. So we're going to take a group of individuals to Houston to physically donate our time rather than just donating money. We want to actually physically be there. There's over 180,000 houses that were damaged by Hurricane Harvey. So, removing sheetrock, removing carpets, whatever it is that we can do to help support any of these families that have lost their homes, donating blood. We already actually have 20 people that have reached out to come with us to Houston.
In what, like 6 hours?
Yeah, it's 6 hours ago. It's just 20 people that are interested in coming with us to help support in Houston. So we're definitely going to arrange for us to be there to actually create some positive change in Houston. I wish we could do it in Florida. It's just a little bit farther. But I'm really, really, really excited about that for sure.
Me too. Thank you. This has been phenomenal.
If any of you guys have any questions, ask us some questions right now. We'll answer them for you.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
Bye.